Alright, this is a vlog post on on the paper I wrote called Safety and Efficiency of Autonomous Vehicles for my IT 104 class. So I began by introducing a definition for autonomous vehicles, and from there you can kind of proceed with the rest of the paper. So autonomous vehicles are vehicles which have at least some aspects of safety-critical control functions, for example, braking and steering, occur without driver input. This can be done with a variety of technologies like camera, radar, LiDAR, LiDAR being the more expensive, more sophisticated sensors used by the Google self-driving cars, whereas like Tesla's semi-autonomous cars use radar. Also, there is 75 megahertz of bandwidth that has been kind of reserved for ground vehicle safety applications called dedicated short-range communication. That might eventually be used to establish communication between vehicles on the road, which will help to increase safety and efficiency of traffic as well, on top of kind of the sensor systems. So a little bit of background here, why we even care about self-driving cars. In 2015, there were about 40,000 auto-related deaths in the United States. So, with self-driving cars, that becomes much less of a problem. Humans make mistakes, and computer code only makes mistakes if the programmer sucks. And then also, aside from safety issues, a lot of people spend an hour or two a day just driving to and from work on the same path, and you're kind of tied up as far as like what you can do. You're pretty much limited to only listening activities while you're driving a car, so that might mean listening to music or listening to audiobooks, but it would be nice to not have to focus on the road and be able to maybe like read a book or something during your commute. So there's clearly incentive for self-driving technology. Let's see, self-driving, the idea of self-driving cars has been around since the 1950s. So something people have been thinking about, but only recently become kind of this big idea that seems to be very possible. The Google car being kind of the classic example of a modern autonomous vehicle. And again, Google's self-driving cars use the very expensive LiDAR system, which is kind of like a 360-degree set of eyeballs. Spins around, uses lasers to detect things. It's pretty cool. Let's see, so potential benefits of self-driving cars. There's the elimination of DUIs, which not only saves lives, but also will alleviate a lot of legal costs, so that's generally a good thing for society. If all cars on the road are autonomous, then, impaired drivers, it's not really a problem, is it? Also, you get more convenience, safety, energy efficiency, less congestion on the road, all that jazz. Especially once you start using the DSRC for cars to communicate with one another. Let's see. If we look at legal and ethical issues, who's at fault when a self-driving car kills someone? That's kind of a legal, weird thing to try to figure out. Then ethically, eventually a self-driving car is going to find itself in a situation where it either tries to save the people inside the car, or it tries to save like a pedestrian or some other drivers. So how do you program a car to make that decision? It's kind of a funky moral dilemma, kind of a philosophical problem. And then also another concern is that autonomous vehicles can be hacked, so there's likely to be kind of an ongoing fight between engineers and terrorists over the security of autonomous vehicles, because if you hack into that system, that could be disastrous. Especially since one of the benefits of self-driving cars will be this communication among cars, so it'll be difficult to determine like which signals are from friendly cars and which signals are from hackers trying to cause a mess. As far as social problems go, you're going to lose a lot of jobs. Taxi and Uber drivers will become pretty much obsolete. The trucking industry will change dramatically. Auto insurance companies will be almost useless. It's estimated that premiums paid by customers would drop by approximately 90% if autonomous vehicles, or when autonomous vehicles become widespread. So the auto insurance industry will definitely be kind of screwed there. Also, highway patrol officers will become significantly less needed, and there will be fewer traffic fines as well, so even the government will experience some kind of financial weirdness there. However, there's still hardware and software problems which need to be addressed. LiDAR is the most accurate sensor being used by autonomous vehicles, but it's prohibitively expensive for the average bear. Radar and cameras are inexpensive, but not really good at detecting lanes or differentiating stationary objects, and cameras are affected by bad weather. And then there's the obvious software issues, the kind of philosophical question of who does the car try to save in an accident scenario. But pretty clear that more lives will be saved than lost, so it's probably definitely a good thing to get self-driving cars, just some kind of weirdness that needs to be figured out. Anyway, that's all.